Dart Warfare, and I'm doing a top 5 best Nerf guns to give somebody as a gift. First, the honorable mentions. The first honorable mention was the Crossfire Bow. This is a Zombie Strike crossbow with a piece that comes detached that you just put down onto the barrel. It's got a tactical rail on top, a stock, a trigger that's a finger heart trigger, so it's really easy to make shoot. It's got 4 barrels that you load each 1 dart. This gun gets fairly good ranges and has a pretty powerful spring. You prime it by pulling this back. You shoot it by pushing the trigger, like you should expect. This thing's about $15 US. It's just not quite fun enough and good enough to be worth the amount it costs. This thing finds its way into a lot of top 5 worst Nerf gun videos. It doesn't really get into the best because this thing is pretty easy to hurt somebody with and just isn't that great compared to some of the other guns. But it's pretty cheap compared to the other guns, but pretty expensive for how much it does. Next honorable mention, the Firefly. This thing is an end strike gun. Back in the day, it was a pretty good one. It shoots these really old soft darts. It's not going to hurt anybody. If you flip the switch and the red light is on, and you've got your batteries that are in here, 2 AA's, batteries are not included, you get a really cool flash. When primed, it flashes pretty good when you shoot, but sometimes you get terrible shots like that. And if one of these darts isn't all the way in, like what just happened, it jams up. This gun isn't moved by priming it. The barrels are moved by pushing the trigger. It holds darts on the back and the sides. It's got 2 sling mount points. It's got a nice thumb hole stock. This thing works pretty decent for its time. The only reason it isn't one of the actual tops is because of the up to $200 cost of it from $14 USA. This thing, the only reason I got it was because it was at Goodwill for $10. Any other reason, and there'd be no way you'd ever want to buy this thing. This thing is fun and soft shooting, but it's just not that great. As you can see, it's moved by pushing the trigger. This trigger has a really hard push, so those safety freaks don't have to worry about a trigger that'll misfire. Time for the actual top 5. Number 5, the Dual Strike. This thing takes 3 Elite Darts and 3 Mega Darts. It comes with the ammunition it shoots. It has a smart AR system, that's why you don't get a huge shotgun whenever you shoot, which also makes darts that aren't good enough pop up. This gun has a selector switch on the side for what kind of ammunition you want to shoot. It has a plunger tube design coming out of it. It has the priming rack on the back. It's got a little aimer piece. It doesn't have any sling mount points. It shoots pretty hard to pretty soft. It's not consistent, except for with the Megas, but they're not accurate. It has good ranges, but the spring you hear whenever you shoot it. So if they're a competitive nerfer, do not get them this. They will almost definitely have a better gun in their arsenal if they're a competitive nerfer for stuff like SCNC. This gun's $20 US. The only reason it's better than the Crossfire Bow is because of higher capacity. The better looks are in the Crossfire Bow, though. But this thing holds more and is just so much more fun to use. It's a really good prop for videos. Number 4. The Mega Roto Fury holds 10 of these big, huge 50 caliber darts that you just put into these little slots. and it shoots pretty hard, but not like as hard as a rival gun, because I know that for sure, because rival guns, I've been hit with plenty. I own 6 of them. They're definitely not very soft, but this thing shoots so much softer. It's a good gun for kids. It's like something you get a 10-year-old. It's about $25 to $30 US. It's got your scope rail on top. It's easy to sling. So if they have a gun that they prefer as their favorite, and you're just getting this as something to give them, it's a really good backup, except for the amount of plastic that hits you and the lack of stealth. It's pretty hard to mod compared to something like a Strife, but this one holds 10, comes with 10 darts, but it's accurate enough. It's better than the Centurion. Never buy the Centurion. It's a waste of money, because this thing outperforms the Centurion every time. It holds 4 more. The only difference is it doesn't look as cool and isn't magazine fed. But this thing can put up a fight. It's pretty fun for the amount of money it costs. Dry fires aren't that loud, just as loud as a normal fire, but it doesn't break easy. It has slam fire when you hold down the trigger. It shoots as soon as the priming handle goes up. It has almost the exact same fire every time. Number 3. The Rival Atlas. Suggested for ages 14 and up, but I'm not 14 and I still have it. I suggest it for ages 9 and up. If your kid's strong, if he's not so strong, wait till 10 or 11. Or whoever you're trying to buy this for. It is a double-shot shotgun that's magazine fed through the Rival 12-round magazines, where you put these Rival balls in. It's sold in colors red and blue. It's got a trigger lock. It's got the magazine that goes in through here. It's got a Rival tactical rail. The trigger lock is activated by pushing this piece here through, like a real gun. It's got a shotgun-style priming handle, a flip-up sight on the top. It's got an opening breech, so you can check to see if it's jammed and clear your jams. It shoots really hard, so much harder than the other guns I showed. Dry fire is so loud because it's not smart AR. Unjamming is not so hard, but if you're jamming up and you've got ammunition still in your magazine, that means there's some sort of a feeding problem. It's a lot quieter if you close the jam door. It's got a primed indicator and a deprime switch. The primed indicator turns orange when it's primed. This gets 6 shots out of its 12-round magazine. This thing's got a lot of potential. It's really good for SCNC, even the stock. This thing has 2 barrels, only the bottom one actually shoots. But it looks cool. It's about $45 US. This thing is one of my favorite guns. It's on my top 10 favorite guns. That video will be posted in a day or 2. Number 3. Yeah, number 3. Atlas. The Atlas is a Rival Rotofury. It holds 30 that you put into the built-in magazines that hold 10 rounds each. It feeds through these 4 barrels. You put them in by sliding this red piece here back. Taking them out of the magazine is really hard. You can load it while shooting. It's got a prime indicator here that will also deprime it if it's jammed. You slide that forward to make the magazine start feeding. You prime it by pulling that back like the Rotofury. It does have a trigger lock. It does have 2 sling mount points. It looks pretty cool. It's got a place to put a scope. Priming it isn't that bad. It's a lot softer than any of the other rival lines that I've used. I haven't tried out the Nemesis yet, but this one's probably going to be the softest rival one for some time. But, number 2. The Rival Chaos. At about $75 to $80 US. The only reason why this isn't number 1 is that it's the expense, $75 to $80 US. It takes this huge box magazine. It's a flywheel gun that takes 6 D-size batteries. That's another reason. It's so big that most of the little kids can't use it. It's part of the rival line. This one's at least 10, but I'd wait till 13 before getting this for somebody, because this thing hurts worse than any of the other ones. It's the most powerful rivals made, even though they don't say it's the most powerful. To open up this top thing, you just flip that switch. It has 3 tubes that fill up with 10 rounds each, and you can put in 5 more from a hack. It's got an anti-rev switch. The batteries go in here. You unscrew the screw, and you slide that thing back. It's got flip-up sights, one in the front, one in the back, a jam door. It's belt-fed. Not like the belts for the Vulcan, but it's got a conveyor belt inside. This shoots really powerful. It's pretty quiet for the rival flywheel powers, but it's got a pretty short stock. It feels pretty good, but it's super heavy. It's pretty easy to do basic mods, but lipo-powering it to get to sound like a leaf blower or my Strife is pretty hard. But time for the number 1. The one you've all been waiting for. The Strife. This thing runs on a 6-round magazine stock, but you can put in other magazines before modifications from other guns or some of those modulus magazine kits or magazines you buy off Craigslist. It won't rev up until you put the magazine in. It's got a lock to take that down. This opens and closes. Right now they've gone up to $48 US, but they used to be down to 23. But even for 48, I still say this is worth it. It's got 2 sling attachment points, a point for a bipod, or laser or something, scope, or anything else you'd want to put on from the modulus rail system, the modulus barrel, modulus stock. It has the rev trigger and the main trigger. This won't push if you don't have a dart in. This isn't down. And this has to be closed, the jam door. For clearing out jams. This is very modified. Stock, it'll sound like that. This thing is plenty of fun. It's got a little aimer up here. You take out the magazine by pushing this piece in and sliding out. But this, there's just no competition. It is by far the best. Goodbye.